Hey guys, this is Nick from Abbott Automotive. Wanted to talk to you a little bit today about some service advisor training. Um, when I first got into this business, I kind of always had um, an ability to kind of talk and connect to people, and kind of selling was in my blood. I came from a long line of people that were in business and salesmen and just genuinely good people. Um, and I had a lot of training kind of outside of the automotive repair business. I worked in some bike shops where I sold bikes and kind of other sales positions that I did very well. So when I got into the automotive business, it wasn't really much of a challenge for me to interact with the customer one on one. So I was always pretty good at it. And one of the things that I was always good at was kind of, selling services and kind of selling maintenance and things that people normally don't really do on cars most of the time. When I first started selling services and kind of upselling work on cars, it was during a time where, buying a car wasn't super expensive. And the average person was only keeping their car for somewhere in the ballpark of maybe 150,000 miles, and even kind of that was a stretch. But now, due to current state of the financial world and automotive world, loans are really expensive, cars are really expensive. Cars are definitely not what they used to be, which I can't believe I'm saying because I feel like I'm dating myself a little bit, but it's kind of getting really crucial that preventative maintenance gets sold on cars. And the reason we kind of know that this is holding true is a lot of auto manufacturers, when you look in their maintenance schedule, they used to not recommend anything. It was basically change the oil, rotate the tires, throw a couple filters in it so you don't get sick and the engine doesn't breathe in dirt, and bring it back to us at 100,000 miles and we'll put it on the used car lot. That's not really the case anymore. Now people are expecting 150,000, 200,000, 250,000 miles out of pretty much any auto manufacturer, even the ones that you kind of know that's not going to happen. But you can give it your best shot with preventative maintenance, of course. But now, when we sell jobs to a customer, or try to sell jobs to a customer, such as fluid changes or filters, two really important questions to ask is, I kind of always like to start by telling the customer what's wrong with their car. Customer brings it in, they say my brakes are making a noise. We bring it in, we look at it, we find out that it needs pads and rotors, we write that estimate, we're ready to go. Now the technician did a really good look over the car. He looked at it from bumper to bumper. He looked at the filters, the fluids, the tires, the suspension. I mean, you name it. How's the heat working? Does the AC work? Does the washers spray? Are the wipers torn? Do all the lights work? So he's kind of written up a whole report that the service advisor has in front of them and is kind of ready to, do an estimate on this stuff and have kind of a, whole list of stuff that the car needs. So when you are talking to the customer about what they need, you talk to them about the brakes, you start kind of getting them ready to talk price and what it's going to take and how long it's going to take. One thing that I always like to ask the customer is, hey, while the vehicle's here, we did our free 32-point inspection and we found some maintenance that the vehicle needs. None of this stuff is a safety concern. You don't have to do it today, but would you like to hear about it? And if they say no, that should be the end of the conversation. The customer basically told you, I don't want to hear it. I'm not doing any of it today, so let's not even go there. So you should respect that. You should just say, okay, we'll save it in your history with a quote. It'll be on your invoice so you can take a look at it yourself, but you don't have to talk about it because the customer, in pretty kind words, just said, I don't want to hear it. Some of those words, might come across a little nastier than others. Some people might just say, oh, that's okay. But if they do say, yeah, sure, what's up? Well, they just open the door for you. You can sit down with them. You can talk about why it's important to change your transmission fluid, yada, yada, yada. You're probably going to sell something at that point, whether or not it's, every fluid in the car spark plugs and an air filter and cabin filter, which would be awesome. Or if it's just a transmission service or just an air filter and cabin filter, it's still great. You raised the ticket. You know, you went from a $64 or whatever it is, oil change, whatever you charge in your area, to, you know, a $150 RO or a $200 RO or a $1,000 RO. Who knows? But don't have the conversation with them unless they clearly want to hear it and that they have time to hear it. Another really good question to ask, and you kind of have to, you know, be careful how you ask this question because it can really come across as, I don't even really know, but I like to ask the customer, hey, I'm just curious, how long are you keeping this car? Are you trading it in next year? Have you had the thought in your head about maybe getting a new vehicle? Or are you really trying to like keep this car for as long as you can? You know, you're out of your payments, you know, you want to get your money's worth on this car. You paid for it for 6-7 years. Now you really kind of want it to start, you know, paying you back, so to speak. If they say, I'm getting a new car next year, then there's really no reason to kind of sell them too much maintenance and repair, because kind of what's going to be your argument? Well, you know, the transmission might blow up within that year. You know, now you're going to start sounding like one of those shops that are just trying to, you know, use scare tactics to push work. You don't want to do that. So you can basically tell the customer, hey, listen, if you're keeping this car for just one more year, I don't really think you're going to have a problem. Nothing's leaking, nothing's broken. There's really no need to change your coolant for the next owner unless it's going to be, you know, a family member or your kid. But if they go, yeah, I don't know, I'd really like to kind of run the wheels off of this thing. You know, that's what a lot of my customers say. Oh, you know, I'm going to run the wheels off of this thing. Well, we can help you do that. And I can't tell you how many customers, when I first opened, came to me and I told them this exact thing. You know, if you do the preventative maintenance, the car will last longer, blah, blah, blah. These are people that have been coming to me for about 9 years now and have had little to no issues with their car. They come in, they need an oil change, maybe the check engine light popped on, but there's been no chattering from a rear differential or torque converter shutter or a transmission problem, or the four-wheel drive didn't work this morning because the fluid is all gummed up and nasty and it was freezing outside. So I get to almost go to them and say, hey, remember when we did all that work to your car however many years ago? Look at you now. You haven't had a car payment in 3 or 4 years. The car has been giving you basically trouble-free, you know, service. And on top of it, when you go to sell that car, you have a laundry list of maintenance that you've done that you can prove through Carfax or our receipts. So it really, really is important, you know, to try to upsell work, but do it in a way that the customer feels like, you know, you're working for them, because that's what you're doing. You know, how long are you keeping the car? As long as I can. Let me help you do that. Or, how long are you keeping the car? I'm trading in 6 months. Okay, there's no reason for you to spend $600, $700, $800, $900 on maintenance if you're not even going to have the car. It also saves you a lot of time, and it also saves your service advisor a lot of time too, because if you ask those questions before you write a 1.5-page long estimate, you know, if the customer doesn't want to hear it, what's the point of making a price? You know, it doesn't make sense. So if you have any questions or concerns, please put them in the comments. If you liked my video, please like it and subscribe, and I'll try to post as many of these as I can. Have a great day, guys.